Good morning, good morning, good morning, my brothers and sisters. Good morning. Praise the Lord. Welcome to another Good Morning Grief devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. So happy and excited to have this time and opportunity to come to you on today in a very special way and lead you in another Good Morning Grief devotion. Yo, this is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural and normal response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. Grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is what you reveal on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. And that's why we shout good morning, because mourning is a good thing. And I am praying for you as you continue to navigate through your grief and mourning journey. Excited about your growth, your development, and just you navigating through this process on your way to being a better version of yourself. And so today is day 78. We're going to talk about I'm filling the gaps. I'm filling the gaps. I'm filling the gaps. Let's talk about it. When my loved one died, they left gaps in my life. When my loved one died, they left gaps in my life. Pause right there. Going through the loss, change, and transition of a loved one, watching a loved one depart and pass away, you begin to see and know and understand that they leave gaps in your life, voids, right? Voids that they played a role, right? And they fulfilled a need, right? And then with them not being there, it leaves a gap in your life, a hole in your heart, a void, right? That's there that you got to deal with because they were so unique in that they fulfilled this. They were funny and they laughed and they had the jokes, or they were compassionate, or they were the ones you could call on, or they were the ones that was kind and sincere. They were the ones who were thoughtful. You could depend on them to do X, Y, and Z. They filled this role. They played this part. And with them gone, right, then they lead that you have this gap in your life, right? They helped you to love in such a way that so you love everybody. Everybody is different, right? So everybody is unique, everybody is different, everybody plays their part. It's like it's like a body part. Your body functions a certain way. Everything on your body plays a certain role: your thumb, your toes, your arm, your eyes, your eyelids, your ears, right? And if you're missing any of it, then there's a gap, right? They call it a disability. There's a gap, right? And there's a deficit and there's a void. And the same way applies. Everybody in your life, they play a role. Everybody in your life, they play a part. Everybody in your life, everybody you're connected to, they bring something, right? Whether it's joy, love, laughter, peace, whatever the case may be. When they go, when they depart, there's a void. There's a gap, right? There's a hole in your heart because they are no longer there. Check this out. The roles they played in my world and the times of companionship and connection we shared are now empty. They played a certain role. There's times of companionship and connection that you're shared, and that's empty. You had inside jokes with these individuals. There were certain things that you two shared, that you could say something or make a certain face, and you two shared these common things. They were a companion, and the connection that you had, and all of those things. Check this out. When they go, right, the roles they played in your world, the times of companionship connection we shared are now empty. The holes they left behind are so painful to encounter and more. I ain't even gonna front y'all. Those holes, they can be painful. They can be super duper painful. They can be super duper painful that you encounter, and to go through this and to mourn that, because you're gonna miss that. You're going to miss that. You became accustomed to that. It's something that you shared individually and uniquely. And without that being there, right? Oh, it can be painful. It can be painful, right? It can be a painful situation. What are we to do in the midst of these type of moments? Yet as I actively work on the six needs of mourning over time, I'm finding that the gaps are becoming less pronounced. This is the thing. This goes back to what we always say, when you actively mourn, because it's gonna be painful. What do? You acknowledge it, you name it, you sit in it, you feel it, you go through the process because you feel some type of way. And I tell you all the time, just we just don't bottle it up, but we gonna let it out. We gonna scream, we gonna shout, we gonna process, we gonna do what we gotta do. Over time, right? What happens over time? Over time, they're becoming less pronounced. Over time, I know when my father died, I'm a barber by trade, and so of course I was his barber. He would come get his free cuts, right, and rightfully so. And actually, the day he died, it was a Saturday, and he didn't come to the shop. And I'm like, this is weird. He ain't come, he ain't called. You know what I'm saying? And so, um, um, you know, he was deceased, and he ended up finding that out. But that was a moment or time we shared, right? Get to cut my father's hair. He used to take me to the barber shop every time when I was little. Right now, I get this wonderful opportunity to talk, interact, cut his hair, all these wonderful things. And even when he died, I remember that was I said, one last cut. We get one last cut. And so, typically the family goes to view the body the day before the funeral. But since I was cutting his hair, I came in like 2 days before, and had the wonderful opportunity, right, to spend this one on one time with my pops, right, for the last haircut. And so having that opportunity to just be there, and they had him inside of a room, propped up, and had his head propped up, and got him out one last time, and it shaped up his afro, and lined him up, and all of these wonderful things, lined up his mustache, and all of those things. Those special moments of connection, right? The rhythm that I was used to every single week, every other week for years. He would come. We would have that. That was like the last cut, right? The last cut. And those are those special connections you have, those special things that you share, those special things that you did on an ongoing basis, right? When that person goes and you don't have that anymore, it can be painful. So how do you deal with it? As you navigate through the process, as you work on those needs of mourning over time, finding that the gaps are becoming less pronounced, right? Yes, it's painful. Over time, if you actively mourn, if you express, don't suppress, you go through the process over time, those gaps become less pronounced, right? Nothing and no one can ever replace the person who died, but the mosaic of my life is jostling around, and different people and activities are settling into some of the nooks and crannies. Nobody can replace the person that died, right? But for some of those things, as you go through that process, you know, healing and mourning and all of these things begin to fill in the gap. Sometimes it can be other people, sometimes it can be other activities, sometimes it can be other things that begin to fill in those gaps that we have in our life. It's so very important for you to know and understand as you navigate through this process. And if you don't hear anything else I say, I think the most powerful thing that I always tell you, you got to learn how to actively mourn. You got to shift from grieving to mourning. Grieving is feeling, mourning is revealing. That is the most important part of this process. That is the most important part of this process. That's what helps you to heal, right? You feel, reveal, heal. That's what helps you to heal. That's what fills in the gaps. That's what helps you to navigate through the process. That's what helps you to deal with the pain. That's what helps you to navigate through the season of grief. That's what helps you not just locking it up and keeping it to yourself. Feel the pain, embrace the pain. Firefighters, they run towards the fire while everybody else is running away. They run towards it because they understand, if I don't run towards it, it's going to spread. It's going to get worse. They run towards the fire. Y'all, when it comes to grief, you got to run towards it. You can't ignore it. You got to explore it. You got to run. You got to put yourself in a position to feel what you need to feel. And that's part of those things, those gaps that are empty. You got to feel that. You got to feel it. That's part of the process. You have to feel it. You got to feel it in order to heal it, right? And as you navigate through that, you'll see that different people and activities are settling into some of those nooks and crannies. Look at the final thought, y'all. While I always have my holes, I can still have meaning and purpose in my life. While I'll always have my holes, I can still have meaning and purpose in my life. Today is day 78. I'm filling the gaps. I want you to know and understand that God is going to fill your gaps. Continue to mourn meaningfully, navigate through the process, and God got you. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr., with another Good Morning Grief Devotion. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I'll see y'all tomorrow, same time. Let's go.